The sensation that you are getting slower or less capable while trying to learn something new isn't a sign that you are failing. It is, ironically, the only biological proof that you are about to evolve. You've spent your life believing in the fallacy of continuous flow, the idea that real learning should feel smooth, instinctive, and pleasurable. But neuroscience is brutally honest. If there is no friction, there is no change. If it's easy, you aren't learning. You are just recalling. That visceral discomfort that kicks in 15 minutes after you sit down to study or work on a complex project, that makes your hand reach for your phone or open a new browser tab, is not ADHD. It's not a lack of discipline, and it certainly isn't a character flaw. It is pure chemistry. It is your nervous system releasing norepinephrine and epinephrine. It's your brain screaming, "Attention! What we are doing is difficult and requires resources." Most people interpret this alert signal as, "I'm not good at this," and retreat into the comfort of distraction. They stop exactly when the process of neuroplasticity was about to begin. But the proposition here is different. If you are tired of being held hostage by your own impulses and are seeking real internal order, this is your place. Subscribe to the channel now. This is a commitment not to me, but to your capacity to endure the process. Because what you call agitation or anxiety is actually the currency required to reconfigure who you are. And until today, you have refused to pay the price of admission. Let's get to the biological root of your frustration. Until your mid-20s, your brain operated in a mode scientists call passive plasticity. Mere exposure to experience shaped your circuits you learned by osmosis, without needing to summon an internal war. The fatal error is that you continue expecting learning and focus to work that way today. You sit down to work and expect the flow to come naturally. But biology changed the rules of the game and didn't warn you. In the adult brain, the door to structural change, true learning, is locked by default. Nature designed it this way to keep your identity and skills stable. To unlock that door, the nervous system demands a specific chemical event, releasing epinephrine for alertness and acetylcholine to mark active neurons. The cruel secret is that the subjective sensation of this chemical cocktail is not pleasure, it is agitation, it is tension, it is a visceral sense that something is wrong. You fail systematically because you interpret this physiological signal of entering plasticity as a sign of ineptitude or boredom. Exactly at the moment your brain gathers the necessary energy to reconfigure itself, you feel the discomfort and retreat. You seek the quick dopamine of your phone to relieve the tension, wasting the chemical fuel your body prepared for your evolution. You are trying to apply a child's passive strategy to adult hardware that requires friction to function. The agitation isn't the obstacle, it's the ticket of entry. The alarming discovery isn't just that you are avoiding discomfort, but what happens to the architecture of your mind when you do. Every time chemical agitation rises and you cave to the impulse to check a notification or grab a snack, you aren't just pausing the learning. You are actively training your brain to fail. You are reinforcing the neural circuit of quitting. Neuroplasticity is bidirectional. It works to build and to dismantle. By retreating in the face of friction, you are myelinating the pathway of distraction, becoming neurologically more efficient at losing focus. If you don't change this response now, the consequence is permanent cognitive stagnation. Your adult brain does not change unless there is urgency and chemical focus. Without crossing that threshold of agitation, you are just repeating the same thoughts, the same emotional reactions, and the same technical limitations you had 5 years ago. You are stuck in a maintenance loop while the world demands adaptation. The gap between what you know you can do and what you actually deliver isn't a lack of talent. It's a refusal to accept the basic biology of effort. And here is the final blow of this discovery. Focus is not a continuous laser, it's a flickering light. You expect absolute consistency, but biology operates in cycles of oscillation. By quitting at the first flicker, you abort the process before the magic of consolidation can even be considered. You are accumulating years of almost starts, building a graveyard of unrealized potential, simply because you cannot endure the first 10 minutes of a natural chemical reaction. The real war begins when you ignore the terrain's own limits. You believe discipline is a straight line, a marathon of 6 uninterrupted hours of deep study or work. But your brain isn't a steam engine. It operates in waves. Neuroscience calls these ultradian rhythms. You have, biologically, about 90 minutes of intense focus before your cognitive capacity nosedives. Trying to force it past that point isn't heroism. It's physiological inefficiency. Here is the paradox that tortures autodidacts. Real learning doesn't happen while you are hunched over books with gritted teeth. During the effort, you are only marking the neurons, like highlighting text with a fluorescent pen. The real wiring, the physical change at the synapses, happens exclusively during deep rest and sleep. It is a non-negotiable two-step process. Extreme agitation followed by absolute rest. Your internal conflict escalates because you violate both phases. During focus, you flee from the necessary agitation, diluting the intensity. And when you should be resting, you don't allow the brain to switch off. You fill the pauses with social media and noise, preventing the nervous system from consolidating what was marked. You live in a gray, mediocre middle ground, never fully focused, never fully rested. You struggle to plant the seeds but refuse to water the soil, and then despair when nothing grows. Here is the protocol to retake control of your own hardware. The solution isn't to eliminate agitation, it is to use it as a compass. First, redefine your relationship with discomfort. When you feel the mental itch to quit, understand that this is literally the moment learning begins. Stay there, do not run. Second, operate in 90-minute blocks. Respect the ultradian rhythms. But here is the secret most ignore. Utilize the gap effect. Studies show that taking random micro breaks of just 10 seconds during study, stopping everything and staring at nothing, causes your hippocampus to replay the neural activity 20 times faster. It is an accelerated download of competence. Use these strategic silences to encode information. And finally, after the effort, seek deep rest, NSDR, or quality sleep. It is in the silence that the brain connects. Max Delbruck, the Nobel laureate physicist, used to say, "Assume zero knowledge and infinite intelligence." You already have the intelligence. What you lacked was the instruction manual to handle the chemistry of your own mind. Now you have no excuses. Agitation is the price. Evolution is the reward. If you are part of the absolute minority that watches until the end and is ready to stop fighting their own biology, prove your commitment. Write our password for today in the comments. I accept the friction. I want to see who here is really building the future and who is just passing through.